Hi everyone, I hope you all are doing good. This time I am here with one update, which is, of course, a very important one regarding the IELTS test. And apart from that, I am going to take up certain mistakes that we tend to make when it comes to the IELTS speaking section. And I'm not here just with the mistakes, guys. Okay, so what's the update? The update is that now we can take the IELTS online test from our own homes or from any other suitable location. Earlier, the case was that we had to take it either in the pen and paper format or we had to go to a particular test center to give this computer delivered IELTS. But now, starting from 2022, due to this COVID pandemic, we have this opportunity from the IELTS organization itself that we can take the test from our own home. Okay, the security is intact. They have come up with new features to maintain that security, and that is why they're confident enough for us to do that from our own home. So that is one big point. Okay, so do keep that in mind, guys. Otherwise, the other things regarding the content or the format, everything is same. Nothing has changed. The reading, writing, listening, and the speaking section is going to be held in the same way, in the same format. When it comes to the speaking test, guys, you're still going to have that real time thing, face to face, with a trained IELTS examiner. It's just that you're going to sit at the location that is suitable for you. Okay? Now let's move ahead with this update and see what mistakes I was talking about. Okay, so I'll take them up one by one, guys, and let's do this in detail. Mistake number one, repeating the question while answering. Now, this usually happens in the cue card section, also in the round 3. I am asking you not to repeat the question, guys. Now, let's take an example. Suppose in the round 3, you get this question from the examiner's side. Do most people in your country read newspapers nowadays? Or suppose in your cue card you got something like to speak about newspapers or probably gathering information or something like that, probably news. And then, as one of the sub questions, you get this particular question. Do most people in your country read newspapers nowadays? So, this can happen either in the cue card section as one of the sub questions or as a round 3 discussion question. Now, just understand, guys. Instead of answering like, well, nowadays in my country, most people read newspapers. No, I don't think so. That's the case. No, not most people in my country read newspapers nowadays. No, that's not how you're going to answer because that's a very low band answer. What we are doing, we're simply answering like a 5-year-old kid. That's not what we are showing here. We want to show the command over language, guys, and that is the reason we will paraphrase the entire question and then we will start answering. What do I mean by paraphrase? I've spoken about this n number of times now. Paraphrasing is when you don't change the meaning of your sentence or of your answer, still say the same thing but in different words. So you're not changing the meaning of the question. You're just answering for the same question in a different way. That's it. Okay? So let's see one by one how we can do that. So to this question, what we can do? We can answer like, elderly people still prefer reading physical newspapers, while the tech savvy youth and the middle aged people of my country are moving towards the online mode to stay updated with the current affairs. Now, see what I have done, guys. Nowadays. So, the moment the question posed nowadays, you know that now you have to come up with comparison. Earlier and present. Okay? And what you're doing, do most people, so most people, again, some kind of analysis and comparison. And that is what you're going to play with. You're going to put details in this. So, most people will turn into elderly people, tech savvy youth, middle aged people, and now you're going to compare the three of those. Okay? and then my country, so your country will be in the same way. And then you are comparing. Elderly people are still preferring to read the physical newspapers, while the tech savvy youth and the middle aged are in favor of the online mode to stay updated. Got it? Now, similarly, let's move to the second question. Explain why you think it is a good exercise. Now, again, this question you can end up getting as one of your sub questions to the QCAT question. Now, usually these explain why and all that are the last questions. Okay, so a lot of detail goes into it. But instead of answering this question as, I think it is a good exercise because, what we can do is, we can simply start with all the reasons that we think the reasons are for calling something as a good exercise. And after that, after giving all those reasons, we can simply add and say in some other way that this is the reason I think it is a good exercise. Now let's see how I'm going to do it. Why you think it's a good exercise? It helps in controlling body weight along with combating various diseases. And then I can go on adding up my reasons. After all these reasons, I can say all these reasons clearly justify my opinion that running is a great exercise. Are you getting my point, guys? So I can just go on talking about this and simply saying that, yeah, that is why I think it's a good exercise. What I've done, I have really paraphrased and used some high range vocabulary to prove that I hold the command over language. And I've said, clearly justify my opinion. So, this is how we are going to do the paraphrasing thing while answering, okay? So, never repeat the question, just say it in some other way. Okay, now let's move ahead. So, I have numbered this as 1 again because this is more or less the same thing, but specifically for round 3. Here, I'm not talking about repeating the question, I'm talking about repeating the ideas and the words while answering, specifically during round 3, guys. Okay? So, do not repeat the ideas, do not repeat the words. So, let's talk about repeating the words while answering. For example, there's a word called important. Now, instead of repeating the same word over and over again while answering for the same thing, what we can do, we can switch and use the words having the same meaning, the same function. For example, for important, we can say crucial, imperative, significant. Okay? So use different words with the same meaning. So I'm not just paraphrasing my words while answering, I also have to keep in mind to paraphrase my ideas. Suppose I'm saying that I am in favor of something. I cannot go on using the same ideas. I will keep paraphrasing. Okay? How? Let's see. For example, number 1, it is important to make informed choices about the field you wish to make a career in. Suppose I have to say this. So, at one point of time, I have spoken exactly in the same way. But, for example, I'm now talking about, say, the ways that I have to be informed regarding all those choices related to my field. And I go on explaining the number of ways that I can be informed. After that, what we can do is now I'm going to speak the same thing, that yes, that is the reason I said it is important to be informed. But instead of using these same words, again, I can simply say, and that is the reason before choosing a profession, it is crucial to be informed about all the facets related to it. Okay? Or simply what we can do is, for example, if this is not something we are talking about, suppose this is the question that we are getting from the side of the examiner. Suppose she asks in the same way, is it important to be informed about the field you wish to make a career in before jumping in and taking it as a career? To this question, what we can say, prior to making a career choice, one must learn about all the aspects of the field. Or we can simply answer in the same way. Are you getting my point? So, is it important? Instead of answering, yes, it is important to make informed choices about the field you wish to make a career in, what I've done, I've paraphrased the idea. So, paraphrasing is one great technique that you're going to learn from today's video. Now let's move ahead. Second mistake, and this one is really important, guys. Okay, and this is specifically regarding the round 2, which is a cue card section. Comprehending the question of the cue card incorrectly. Now look at that carefully, guys. Let's take the example. Describe a journey. This is the cue card that we have dealt with regarding when we were doing the cue card section, guys. Describe a journey that didn't go as planned. Okay, so definitely we are talking about our memory, we're talking in past tense. To this main question, we had several sub questions: where you were going, how you were traveling, who you were with, what went wrong. All these things were, went. These are the markers of past tense. So we are till now talking in past tense while answering these. Okay? But see the magic now. The last question: explain what you would do differently. Would do. Now, this is where the confusion arises. Till now, as I said, we're talking in past tense. To switch to future tense, you would do differently. This is future tense, guys. Okay? It's tricky. And this is what candidates miss out on. Okay, so what usually is the tendency of the candidates? They tend to speak this in past tense. Okay, so they probably talk regarding, no, and then we did this differently, and then we moved from there and took the other path, and then the things went fine. They kept on speaking in the past tense, whereas the trick is that this turns suddenly to the future tense. So do not rush. Closely look at the tenses of the question, each question correctly. Okay, and then go on preparing your answer in that 1 minute that you're getting it for preparing the keyword question. And while speaking, remember that you have the change of the tense here. Okay, so what you would differently actually means that if you end up getting into the same trouble again, what are the new steps, what are the different steps that you would take in order to avoid the same problems that you faced previously. So please comprehend the question in the correct way. I hope this is going to be clear in your head from now onwards. All right, let's move ahead to the third one. The third point is that is a mistake. The third mistake is taking unnecessary long pauses. Now, specifically when it comes to the round 2, when you have that 1 minute to prepare your entire speech, to prepare your answers for each question of your cue card, utilize that 1 minute smartly, guys. And I have talked about utilizing this 1 minute smartly using certain strategy. Answer those questions in bullet points. Use short answers. Use abbreviated versions. Okay? So if you have to say, for example, let's go back, who you were traveling with. So, who you were with. Parents, siblings. So, PAR, PAR, and siblings, SIB. This is how you can simply answer in your A4 sheet paper in order to quickly answer this question in that 1 minute. Okay? Getting my point? So, you have to answer all these questions in 1 minute. So, you cannot go and write the entire sentences. You simply have to be in very short points, like bullet points, quick. Okay, so utilize this 1 minute smartly to answer through bullet points in round 2. And when you actually have enough bullet points right in front of you in that notepad or in that A4 sheet paper, you have to understand that you are not going to have any kind of shortage of content while speaking for those 2 minutes. You will not realize how quickly those 2 minutes will pass by. Okay, so please understand, utilize this 1 minute so that no shortage of content is there. And because there is no shortage, this unnecessary long pauses will not appear. Okay, so this is magic. All right, now let's move ahead. The fourth one, using wrong fillers. Now, fillers are the words that you use when you are actually buying time, because you are still generating ideas in your head. Now, for example, in round 3, because it's a discussion round. Suppose there's a question from the examiner's side. Of course, we all are humans, guys. We cannot just be acting like machines that there's a question and now I can be ready with an answer. That's not happening. Instead, what happens is that our minds process and then it comes up with an answer. The processing time is what we have to deal with interestingly and smartly. So instead of using fillers in a wrong way, we can use correct fillers. Okay? Now, what are wrong fillers? This is one thing that everyone is guilty of, including me. So we tend to use a lot of, like all that, all sorts of things, etc., etc., all of that. All of these things are wrong fillers. Using fillers is not wrong, but using wrong fillers will lead you nowhere. So, what we can do, as I said, let's make this smart. So, instead of using all these and like and all sorts of things over and over again, when we are posed with a question to which we have to generate ideas, what we can do is, well, that's an interesting question. I've never thought about this. Let me just ponder over it. Okay, that's an interesting question. Let me wrap my head around it. I think, and then you go on. Okay, so what I have done while speaking all of this, I have actually bought the time for my mind to generate the ideas, but in a smart way. Why smart? Because even when I'm saying all these things, I'm showing that my confidence has not shaken. I'm still using these words, ponder, interesting, let me wrap my head around it, and still showing my command over language. Also, when I'm talking in this way, I'm showing my body language as a composed one, as a calm one. Okay? So do come up with these kinds of correct fillers. Fifth, ums and ahs. Again, we are guilty of these. This is what I call as stuttering and stammering. See, using these ums and ahs once or twice is absolutely fine, guys. But doing it over and over again and making it a big part of our speech is going to pose a problem. So, what we can do is we can be conscious. So, when we are practicing for our speaking test at our homes, we can be conscious enough to avoid these ums and ahs. Okay? So, instead of speaking these ums and ahs and treating them as fillers, what we can do is we can pause for a moment. Pausing for a moment will let us breathe properly because we are not Rajdhani Express to keep on moving. While answering, we have to breathe. So take that moment to pause. Okay? And when we are taking that moment to pause, usually our expressions, our tone, our pitches, it will take that moment. And you will not even know that you have taken that pause. Okay? So be conscious about these ums and ahs. You can simply take a pause, breathe in. After that, repetition of words and ideas. I've taken that up when I was talking about round 3 and all that. But simply, just to understand, don't try to repeat the words and ideas. Instead, use a range of vocabulary. Now, as I talked about important, remember? Crucial, imperative, significant, those were synonyms. Words with the same meanings. In the same way, to show comparison, to analyze in detail, we can also come up with antonyms, that is, opposite words. I like this, I absolutely dislike it. I hate it, I love this. Agreement, disagreement. Important, unimportant. Relevant, irrelevant. All of these are antonyms. And what are they doing? At one point of time, if we are saying that that is totally irrelevant, the other part we can use as, oh, that is that, and that is the reason I said it is unimportant. So we have to use all these synonyms and antonyms, range of vocabulary in order to avoid any kind of repetition. So seventh one is what we have as not using connectors or linking devices. Guys, this is one problem I see when people have this tendency to talk in small and simple sentences. And that is the reason I always say use the connectors and linking devices to show the holdover language, to come up with complex sentence structure. Okay? This is something I have made a sheet on regarding the connectors and the linking devices. And I've already posted that on my Telegram group. What I'll do, guys, after this video, I will post that again so that you all can have that sheet again. And in that sheet, what I have done, I have simply divided all these connectors according to their functions. So suppose if you have to show some kind of comparison, you can use connectors like however. Or if you have to come up and add something more to some information, you can simply say moreover, furthermore. Then there are others for adding details, okay, for other things. So according to different functions, I have made this sheet of the connectors and linking devices, which is soon going to get posted again. So please use these connectors in order to come up with complex sentence structure, as I said. Now, the eighth problem is speaking either too fast or too slow. Too slow definitely is a problem with the people who are not confident enough while speaking. Too fast is a problem with the people who are overconfident while speaking. They know that they have the command over language, but because of that overconfidence, they tend to go too fast. And then what happens? A lot of mistakes. So, what we have to remember is we have to maintain the balance of pace. We neither have to be too slow and talk like, that is not happening. However, humans don't talk like that. We talk with different things, varied tones. No, 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 no. That's not happening. That's very boring. Okay? We also don't have to be. Humans talk with high and low pitches, varied tones and expressions, speaking like a robot without expressions. We have to remember that we have to maintain the balance of pace. That's no, 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 no. That's not happening. Okay? So, what we have to do is we have to balance the pace and we have to speak like humans do. A real conversation which shows your involvement. And that involvement is only evident when you talk with different pitches, highs and lows, which takes me to my next point. Don't sit there talking like a robot without expressions in a flat tone. Don't do that, guys. We are all humans. We talk with different pitches, highs and lows, expressions, facial expressions, hand gestures, eyes expressions, and varied tones. So keep all that intact while talking. Okay, when it comes to round 2 or round 3 or even when greeting the examiner. So those are 9 mistakes that I could come up with. If there are more mistakes that you can think of, do tell me in the comment box or through the Telegram, Instagram, wherever you find it feasible, and I will definitely come up with the solution for it. So I will be waiting for all those mistakes that you can come up with, and that would be an interesting thing. All right, so with this, I'll take your leave for tonight. Keep learning, keep practicing, and keep sharing the knowledge. Do share the Telegram group ID, guys, because this is one place I keep connecting with you all in a major way. Also, do remember that I keep coming up with new videos every Tuesday and every Friday. Till then, take care and good night. Ta-da!